America's money plan is delayed. Again. Think of it like your roommate promising to pay rent by Friday, except the roommate is Congress and the landlord is the rest of us. Today, what the latest budget holdup actually means for your taxes, Social Security, mortgages, gas prices, and that mysterious no tax on tips thing. Grab coffee, I'll translate DC into dollars. On the docket, why the federal budget is late? Again, the White House and Congress elbowing over who controls the purse? What a shutdown would change for everyday people. The brand new tax law you'll feel on your 2025 return, plus a quick market check on inflation, mortgage rates, and gas. Then I'll give you a tight money moves checklist for the week. 1. What kicked this off? You might have seen the weekend think piece vibe, editorials warning that the federal budget is sliding off schedule and that the executive branch is flexing more power over how already approved money gets spent. Translation: even when Congress funds something, the White House can slow roll or condition the release. That's not new as an idea, but the scope is bigger this time, and lawyers are dusting off the 1974 Impoundment Control Act like it's Avenel record. Why you care? When Washington fights over the spigot, payments slow, rules change midstream, and agencies freeze hiring, contracting, and service improvements. That can ripple into your tax season, your travel, your student aid, your housing timeline, and local programs. So if your group chat sounds like, "Are we shutting down again?" You're not imagining it. 2. Where the budget actually stands, here's the play-by-play. Congress used a continuing resolution, a stopgap, earlier this year to keep the lights on through September 30th. Now we're staring at the October 1st fiscal year turn with a lot of unfinished appropriations business. Odds makers in DC think we'll get another short-term patch to push decisions a few weeks, but the temperature is high because the White House is also pushing rescissions. That's a request to claw back money Congress already approved. Meanwhile, the administration released a skinny FY 2026 proposal back in spring and started rolling out more details. You'll hear about cuts or right-sizing certain agencies and programs, and Congress pushing back in others. Add to that a separate and very real thing you'll feel: the new omnibus-style tax and spending law that passed over the summer. So we're juggling 3 balls: keep the lights on funding, next year's real budget, and a big new tax law you'll meet on your 2025 return. 3. The tug-of-war over spending power. Inside baseball, but important. Budget experts are fired up about the apportionment process. Basically, the executive branch sign-off that lets agencies spend the money Congress appropriated. The critique is that apportionments are being used more aggressively to steer policy or delay funds for things the White House doesn't like. Congress calls that impoundment by another name. The White House calls it management. Why you care? When federal money for schools, housing, research, or grants gets bottled up, your city or state may delay projects, nonprofits pause hiring, and agencies tell you check back in a few weeks. It's the slow part of slow cooker government. 4. What a shutdown would actually change for regular people. Let's do the "do I get my check" lightning round. Social Security and AMP Medicare monthly benefits continue. The trust funds aren't appropriated annually. But field office services can slow. New cards, certain verifications, and customer support backlogs. Taxes and AMP, the IRS. It's not tax season, so fewer disruptions. The IRS has contingency plans and some non-annual funding. Audits, phones, and new projects can slow or pause depending on length. SNAP and AMP, other benefits. Near-term SNAP issuance has backstops. Longer fights can create administrative strain at states. Federal workers and AMP, contractors, many are furloughed or work without pay until the deal is signed. Back pay is typical by law now, but cash flow is still pain. Travel. TSA and air traffic control keep working, but after a couple of weeks without pay, absenteeism can spike. Think longer security lines and delays. National parks may be closed or skeleton-staffed, passports and visas slow. Mortgages, conventional loans mostly proceed. FHA, VA, USDA can see processing lags if the lapse drags, and IRS SSA income verification can bottleneck. Plan extra time. So no, they won't turn off Social Security like flipping a light switch. It's more like your favorite cafe still open, but the barista is covering 4 jobs. 5. The brand new tax law you'll feel in 2025 separate from the budget fight Congress passed and the president signed, a sweeping law you'll hear sold as the one big beautiful bill. Think of it as TCJA 2.0 plus add-ons. High-level changes you'll actually notice. For households, the 2017 tax brackets and AMP. Larger standard deductions stay instead of expiring after 2025. New senior deduction. If you're 65 plus, an extra $6,000 deduction phased out at higher incomes. Couples with both spouses 65 plus could double it. Salt cap tweak. For 2025-2029, a higher salt cap with phase-outs at high incomes before reverting later. Does this help you? If you live in a high-tax state, and itemize maybe. No tax on tips and AMP, overtime relief. The headline is splashy. The fine print, there are caps, definitions, and phase-outs. Some relief applies automatically via W-2 reporting. Some will be reconciled on your return. If you live on gratuities or log a lot of overtime, your net pay should tick up, but this isn't a blank check. For small businesses and AMP, investors pass-through, QBID, bump from 20% to 23% in some cases, with the usual web of thresholds. 100% immediate expensing back for certain investments. A grab bag of credits deductions targeted at domestic production. Budget reality check, nonpartisan tallies peg the 10-year deficit impact as multi-trillion. That's why editorials are spicy, and why you'll keep hearing about rescissions and cuts to offset it. Actionables right now. Update your W-4 in September so your withholding lines up with your 2025 outcome, especially if you're 65 plus, tip-heavy income, or high salt. 2-earner households. Run a quick paycheck estimator with overtime turned on to see the change. Itemizers. Ask a CPA if the SALT tweak flips you from standard to itemized. It can change your Q4 charitable tax payment timing. Gig and AMP. Pass-through folks. Book a 30-minute check-in on the new QBID math before year-end purchasing decisions. 6. Quick market and AMP. Household snapshot. 3 dials for your fridge magnet. Inflation. The latest CPI shows headline 2.7% YY and core. 3.1%, with shelter still sticky. Food away from home is rising faster than groceries, so home cooking still wins the budget battle. Mortgage rates. The 30-year hovers around 6.6%. That's lower than last fall, and existing home sales ticked up in July. Affordability is still tough, but it's less worse than a few months ago. Gas. National average sits near $3.15. Not 2022 painful, but not 2019 cheap either. Call it the meh but manageable zone. If the Fed does cut in September, you'll feel it slowly. Savings yields drift down first. Mortgage rates care as much about inflation and bond markets as they do the Fed headline. 7. If you're retired or nearing it. 2 notes for retirees. Withdrawal strategy. With inflation drifting in the high 2s and low 3s, and markets up, a rigid 4% forever rule isn't the only game in town. Consider a guardrails approach. Raise or lower withdrawals as markets move so you don't lock in high spending if returns cool. Tax tweaks. That extra senior deduction plus bracket permanence means Roth conversions and IRA withdrawal timing deserve a fresh 2025 look. Lower brackets locked in for longer can be a window to move money at favorable rates. 8. This week's Money Moves checklist. Give me 10 minutes and I'll give you peace of mind. Paycheck tune-up. Rerun your withholding. W-4 for 2025 rules. Tip overtime workers. Ask payroll how the new rules show up on your W-2. Screenshot your next stub. High tax state? Price out itemizing versus standard under the new SALT cap before year-end payments. Emergency buffer. Nudge 25 to 100 to your high-yield savings. Debt triage. Any balance and G 10% APR. Make one move. Refi, transfer, or extra payment. Travel plans. If you've got fall trips, build in airport time and book refund-friendly options in case DC drama hits TSA lines. Mortgage shopper. Get quotes now. A tiny rate drop plus a seller credit can change your monthly more than you think. Retirement. If 65 plus, put the extra deduction note in your tax file and check your RMD plans. Charitable giving. If itemizing flips on for you, batch donations in Q4 or consider a DF. Stay calm. Markets don't love politics, but they hate uncertainty more. Decisions beat doom scrolling. 9. Lightning Q and AMP. A question. Will my Social Security stop if there's a shutdown? Answer, no. Checks keep coming. Service lines get longer. Question. Is no tax on tips unlimited? Answer, no. Caps and phase-outs apply. Still helpful, but not a blank slate. Question. Do mortgage rates crash if the Fed cuts? Answer, not necessarily. Mortgages listen to inflation and bond yields more than the Fed press conference. Question. Should I wait to buy a house? Answer. If you'll move within 5 to 7 years, renting can still win. If you'll stay long and can afford it, run the math, not the headlines. Question: do I need 20% down? Answer: not required. 5% with PMI can be rational if the all-in monthly beats your rent for your time horizon. DC will keep doing DC things. Your job is to keep your plan louder than the headlines. If this helped, like the video so more people find it, subscribe for weekly plain English money breakdowns, and tell me in the comments, what's your number one money question for next week? I read them all. Want the steps, not the noise? Visit personalfinancetime.com for actionable, weekly money guides, built to outlast the news cycle.